Okay, grade 10s. Here's the second video for this. I guess now we'll do a question, not just given a y-intercept, but find or write the equation of the line containing let's just call point C. Let's go 4, 3, and has a slope of 5. Period. Okay, so we gotta find the equation of a line that has this point C, 4, 3 on it, or in it, and has a slope of 5. Well, if I look at this, is totally something different, because this is actually, we call this formula something, so you can actually put this into your formula sheet. I call it the slope point formula, but lots of people call it that. Slope point. Okay, so that basically says when you're given a slope and a point, you use this formula, and it's basically just the slope formula reorganized. So the way I write it, it goes like this: y minus y1, because we've only got the y1 here, we've got x1 and y1 here, and that's equal to our slope times x minus x1. And that's the formula we use for this. When you're given a slope and a point, and only one point, you use this formula. And you'll find out that we end up using this formula lots, okay? And I'll just show you from the slope formula how this comes about. We've got m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. But because we don't, whoops, something happened to my pen there. Slope equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Okay, not very nice, but it's there. Okay, now, because we don't have that second point, I'm going to erase the y2 and the x2, and I'm going to get everything of the x's and multiply it up, and that looks like m times x minus x1 equals y minus y1, and hence the slope point formula. Okay, opposite, but you get the idea. Okay, so I'm going to erase that because that's just showing you where it comes from. Now, the trick to using this is we label our point. Surprise, surprise. And I've already done that. X1 and Y1. I'm going to switch to green here just because my blue pen seems to be acting up. And I'm going to substitute everything I know, and I'm going to put it into slope-intercept form and standard form just so we can see that all again. Okay, so I've labeled my point. I'm going to substitute my values in. Y minus 3, and again, we got to watch our signs, equal to 5 times x minus 4. Of course, I put the 5 in because that's m. I put the y1 in. I put the x1 in, and so on. So now I'm going to take this 5 and I'm going to multiply it in. I get y minus 3 is equal to 5x minus 20, because 5 times 4 is 20. Now, that's not in slope-intercept form yet. Remember slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. Okay? Well, all I got to do is isolate y. So in order to isolate y here is I'm going to add 3 to both sides. Cancels the 3 there. So my final answer in slope-intercept form will look like this. Y equals 5x negative 20 plus 3. Negative 20 plus 3. Negative 17. There's my equation in slope-intercept form. Okay? Done. Because there's my m, and there's going to be my b. And you can go and graph this at some point. Well, not right now, but later. And you'll see. So there's my equation. Well, to get it in standard form, remember ax plus by equals c. I just got to get my x's and y's on the same side. Well, y equals 5x minus 17. And you don't have to do this every question. Just when I ask, or, you know, if I say put it in standard form, or if I say put it in both. I'm going to minus the 5x over. Minus the 5x over. That'll cancel there and there. And I'm left with negative 5x plus a y equals negative 17. Done. Okay. So that's a pretty easy one. Well, I'm going to do another example where it's not so easy, because who wants to do everything that's easy? So we'll do the same type of question. Find the equation of a line, and we'll put some fractions into this one, just because fractions are fun. So find the equation, or write the equation of a line, of the line, if b is negative 2, negative 7, and m equals a negative 3/4. Let's go with that one and see what kind of mess we can get ourselves in. And this time again, I'll write it in both forms, just so it's just for practice again, just so we can kind of see how we do it. And again, I emphasize, you don't have to do it both ways each time. If I tell you slope-intercept form, put it in slope-intercept form. If I tell you standard form, I want it in standard form. But even when you put it in standard form, you need it both ways anyways. Either way, I notice when I'm reading this question, I've got an x1 and a y1. But that's a point. There's my point. And then I'm given m. That's my slope. So I wonder what formula I should be using. Well, I'm thinking it's the point slope formula, and it looks again like this. Y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. Okay? So I've labeled my point. I've got my slope. I'm going to just go and substitute the values in. So y minus a minus 7 plus 7 equals, and remember, you got to watch your signs, the slope m, negative 3/4, or negative 3/4, times x minus x1, which is a minus 2, so minus a minus is a plus 2. Okay, two ways to go about this. I can multiply that 3/4 into everything in those brackets, or I can get rid of the 4 right now. From before, we've seen that we can clean that up by multiplying the whole equation by the common denominator, the lowest common denominator of everything, which is a 4 in this case. And when I do that, I'm going to multiply it into here, into there, right? And those brackets of the x plus 2, well, that's kind of the boss of it's outside, so we're just going to go to the boss and see what happens. So we end up with 4y plus 28 equals. And remember from before I said that 4 is really just divided by the 4. And we're left with the negative 3. Or if you don't like that, you can say 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. Divided by 4 is negative 3. I don't care how you do it. I just know that it's a negative 3 because 4 divided by 4 cancels. And then, like I said, we haven't broke into those brackets yet, so we can't multiply the 4 in there yet. Well, now I can start to simplify things and put it into the slope-intercept form. Remember, slope-intercept form just means you got to isolate y and get it into mx plus b form. So to do that, I'm going to start cleaning things up. So I'm going to multiply that negative 3 in. And when I do that, I get 4y plus 28 equals, and I've got green on there somewhere, okay, equals negative 3x, and then negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. Perfect. Well, y isn't isolated yet, so I'm going to start by getting rid of this 28. Minus the 28, that cancels with that. So, minus. So 4y equals negative 3x. Negative 6 minus 28 is a negative 34. Well, y still isn't isolated because it's 4. So how do I get rid of that 4? Well, I'm going to divide by the 4 through everything. So it comes out of here, like so. So now, when I do this, 4 canceled there, so I'm left with y equals -3/4 x. And hey, that should be, because in the question it even tells us our slope is -3/4. Now the -34/4. I'm going to say just reduce the fractions you get there. So we can take a 2 out of both of those, and we get -17/2. Now, of course, if we were plotting that, we would need to know what that looks like, and that's just 8.5, -8.5. But there I am in mx plus b form, or slope-intercept form. All right? So that's perfect. Well, here we go again. How do I get it in standard form now? Standard form. Well, we start with the slope-intercept form. -17/2. Okay. And in actual fact, we could actually go back to the start and do it a lot easier, but we won't. We'll just keep consistent, because we can actually go back to this step right here, okay, and put it into standard form right away. But just so you can see how this is all done again, I'm gonna keep going like we did before. I'm gonna multiply everything by 4 and basically turn it back to what we had at the beginning. So 4y equals, and of course when I do this, the 4's just cancel. I'm left with -3x. When I multiply it in here, the 4 divided by the 2 is 2. And 2 times -17 is -34, like so. Well, to get my stuff into standard form, I got to get my x's and y's on the same side, so I'm going to add the 3x over to the left-hand side. It's going to cancel there and there, and I'm going to get 3x plus 4y equals -34. Beautiful. Ax plus by equals c form. And that's when you're given a point and a slope. Okay? So that's all I'll do for this stuff. About